All I could do is SMH, shake my head. Where the hell were you guys yesterday? You didn't show up. But we will talk about that. But before we do, I just wanted to talk about some notable people that passed away today. First, there was James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, and the voice of the Lion King. Luke, I am your father. Son, someday this will all be yours. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. You had a great voice, and you know, peace be with you, my friend. Next, so in the annals of the New York Mets history, the Mets lost a long-time Met. He was a Met for his entire baseball career. Ed Kranepool. I'm shocked. He was 79. Uh, I did meet him once, and he actually spoke at an awards show of the Little League that I belong to, and my father was actually the president of the one division at that time. So, and he got to sit up on the dais with Ed Kranepool. So I actually gave my father a baseball card of Ed Kranepool and asked him to sign it for me, and he did. And thank you, Ed. Of course, I lost that baseball card. I didn't save any of my baseball cards. I mean, who knew that they would become so famous someday? But rest in peace. You will forever be immortalized with the '69 Mets. We love you, and we will pray for you. And someday we'll see you upstairs. Peace be with you. Okay, so now to get to my topic of the night. Uh, so I don't know if anybody has ever seen that short clip of Family Guy where Stewie Griffin is wearing what looks like a New York Mets baseball cap, but it has NY on it, but it's they're trying not to infringe on any copyright, so it just says NY. It's not in the New York Giants logo, it's not in the Mets logo, but somebody goes hits a home run, slams his hat down, says, and the season is over. Well, now you know how I feel. It's been one freaking game, and I feel like the season is over. So, I tried to give Daniel Jones a chance. That's their quarterback. Uh, and I watched Hard Knocks. So they HBO Max had the special 5-part series Hard Knocks before the season where they talk about the Giants and trying to re-sign Saquon Barkley and trying to get their draft picks in order. Now, supposedly they did okay with their draft picks. They picked Malik Neighbors in the first round. Good for you for that. But they let Saquon Barkley go, and I was trying to be cautiously optimistic that, you know what, maybe it wasn't so bad, won't be so bad without him. But granted, I don't think he had a stellar night down in Brazil with the Eagles the other night, but he did get 3 touchdowns, and they did beat the Packers in a close game. Meanwhile, the Giants got effing trounced at home by the what the hell is it? The Packers. Okay, I had to pause for a minute just to get a couple of illustrations ready for you. So yeah, so the Giants, they really blew it yesterday. Uh, Final score was 28-6. Um, I tried to be, well, first of all, let's start with their uniform. So I'm going to share very quickly. So you got to see this. I mean, what worked in this may have worked in 1933. These were what the Giants were wearing back then. These red and blue things with tan pants, but doesn't work in 2024. And a few people said, what the hell are the Montreal Canadiens doing facing the Minnesota Vikings? Wow, hideous, isn't it? Sight for sore eyes. So anyway, so I tried to be fair to Daniel Jones because you know what? Hello, he didn't have a very good offensive line, but now supposedly that's been rectified. He didn't have any receivers to throw to. Supposedly that's been rectified now. But one thing I will say, the running game did get worse. This guy Singletary stinks. I don't even know his first name, and right now I don't even care because what the guy do? He had 10 rushes for 27, 37 yards. Awful, just awful. So you lose the running game. So now he's forced to throw. Uh, you can't throw to the receivers if they don't freaking get open. I mean, here's Malik Neighbors, the guy that they're touting couldn't get open. They probably doubled him. But then Wandale Robinson and Darius Slayton, what are these guys doing? You can't get open ever. Bellinger is their top tight end. I'm sorry, that's not going to work. I mean, he's decent, but he's no Mark Bavaro. So your your passing game is now suspect, and you know what? The mistakes were about to come. So after the first couple of series, I knew that they were going to come. He threw that pick six. They had their backs to the end zone. He throws a pick six. 10 yards for a touchdown by that guy Van something who injured him by uh, ironically injured him last year when he was on the Dolphins at the game that I was at. Uh, Unbelievable. So now they're down 28-6, and the Boo Birds came out and people were leaving. You know what? Good for them. Uh, all I can say is John Mara, Joe Shane. Uh, what the hell were you idiots thinking? Drafting this guy is one thing, but then giving him 40 million? He's not worth it. I think it's time to admit defeat and bench him and put in Tommy Cutlets because you know what? The season was over last year, but at least the guy was hungry and he tried. This guy, I mean, come on. You think he's got the pedigree, but he doesn't. What's it going to take for you to bench him? Or he's going to get injured again because the offensive line can't protect him. Unfreaking believable. Uh, so it was a bad week for New York football. Uh, Last I checked, it was the Jets are out in San Francisco losing to the 49ers toward the end of the third quarter, 23-7. So I think what all the more things change, the more things stay the same. Both the Jets and Giants. I mean, this New York football, so sick of it. Hey, at least New York baseball, they're getting it done. The Yankees won tonight, 10-3, I believe. Good for them. The Mets won in Toronto earlier tonight, 3-2. Good for them. You got to try and keep pace with the Braves. So awesome. Keep it up. Usually every year, I'm saying to myself, I can't wait for football to get here because my baseball team sucks. But this year, in a switch, it's the Mets that are getting me to stop thinking about the New York Giants. They were just so horrible yesterday. Which brings me to my next topic. So I have a friend, an old friend. So back in late 70s, early 80s, I was in high school and I used to go over to this friend's house and we would play street hockey every day. And it was the same crew of people. We'd get out there with our hockey sticks and we'd play and we'd have fun and then we would challenge other teams and so on and so forth. But these friends, it was like being friends with a bunch of Beavises and Buttheads. I mean, they're friends. If you ever watch that show, they're friends, but they're always ranking on each other, always slapping each other, being mean to each other. And that's what I used to deal with every day. And all I can say is, thank God some of these people moved on with their life, because you know what, I don't think I could do this over again. But I did keep friendly with some of the people, and I'm friends with a few of them still on Facebook. And this one particular guy, I won't mention any names, but let's. So this guy is deluded into thinking that the NFL is WWE light and that it's fixed. So this is what he says to me yesterday after I put up a post and complained about the Giants. Dude, don't ever say that the WWE light is not fixed. Watching the Cards and Bills and the refs suck, and this league sucks. If you think that sports is not fixed, then you seriously have issues. If politics is fixed, don't you think that sports is fixed? Well, here on All or Not, according to Jack, I don't talk politics because it is a very polarizing topic. And, you know, as I can see from some of my SOT friends, one of my SOT friends put up a post just the other day, and somebody mentioned politics, and another person just went batshit all about it. It's like, defending a certain politician. I won't mention any names, but so, you know what? I don't want to get on either side because I think there's good and bad on both sides. And you know what? You want to have a good debate, uh, keep it polite. That's fine. But, all this nastiness I can just do without. All I can say is thank God I work for a company where that stuff's just not tolerated. No yelling, no name calling. Uh, you know, where has an environment like this been all my life? I've worked at too many places where there was just too much hostility in the workplace. So, knock on wood, thank God I don't have to deal with that anymore. Instead, I got to deal with this. So, my first thing to this person, give it a rest. Time to take some responsibility for the fact that the Jets have been so bad for a long time. Do you make excuses for yourself at work too? So, person number one, I don't understand why you don't think it's controlled or fixed. You watch wrestling. Is wrestling fixed? Yes, it's fixed. But here's the thing, my answer to that, I used to watch AEW, but I don't like where the product is going. So guess what? I stopped watching. I haven't watched an episode of AEW ever since that moron Tony Khan fired CM Punk. I just think that that was a terrible thing to do. You don't know anything about the business you're in. You let the inmates run the asylum. Those stupid young bucks basically run the whole program for you. You're a knucklehead. So the answer is I don't watch AEW anymore. I don't even watch WWE SmackDown. I only watch WWE Raw because I think the programming's good. And you want to know something? If I got bored of that, I would stop watching. So my question to you is, if football offends you so much, why do you watch it? Okay, so my answer to him at that time, I'm not going to argue with you over something that is complete BS. What I will say is that you are giving me some great material for tonight's episode. Let's move along. So he says to me, love you, but you're delusional. Have a great day. Uh, so my answer, delusional? Question mark. Do you own any mirrors out there in Arizona? You want an episode? You want an answer? Watch my episode. So the last thing he said to me yesterday, you're delusional because you think that sports is not controlled or fixed. So I basically had to say, look, enough for one day. Let's give it a rest and sleep on it. So then today he said, okay, Jack, I have just one question. Then I will stop, never bring it up to you again. My question is, why don't you think sports is not controlled or fixed? That's it. But then he kind of softened things up by saying, let's go Mets. Yes, I agree with you. Let's go Mets. They are in a pretty good spot. And you know what? I would love to see 69 or 73 unfold once again. That would be awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so your question, why don't I think sports is fixed? So, number one, I'm going to answer the question with a question. So, do you would you go into a temple on the high holidays, which is coming up soon? I'm talking the Jewish holidays, Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. Would you go into temple and start asking people if they believe in God? Of course, they're going to say yes. Would you go into a Catholic church on a Sunday and ask them if they believe in Jesus? Of course, they're going to say yes. So I have to believe that sports, organized sports, are above board. You know, we once had the Black Sox scandal, and they suspended these people for life because they bet on the game, and they strongly suspected that they fixed the game. So yeah, so in order to keep up the integrity of the game, they had to suspend them for life and make that a requirement. And that's why we're in 2024, we're talking about whether Pete Rose should be in or he should be banned. There was strong suspicion that Pete Rose was banned from the game because they thought that he was betting against his own team to freaking lose. That, you know what, maybe he wasn't fixing the game, but he might have been subtly fixing the game, putting the wrong relief pitchers in, putting the wrong pinch hitters in, putting certain people, you know, off the bench that shouldn't be in the game, you know, not giving it 150% to try and win the game. Like, knock on wood, I see, looks like Carlos Mendoza's doing that this year. Good for you, Carlos. I didn't believe in you earlier in the season, but now you made a believer out of me. You turned this team into a contender. So between you and Mr. Lindor, good for you guys. Awesome. So getting back to this question, do I think sports is fixed? I have to believe that it's real, because the day that I believe that it's fake is the day that I have to burn all my jerseys and I have to stop watching. I am not at that point yet. And you know what? For good reason. Uh, you, my friend, are not the only person who has ever said that the sport was fixed. So, uh, one of so my good friend Pete Potter has a whole uh, slew of Sea of Tranquility family that gathers behind him for episodes and other special events. And one person who I like this person, how he shall remain nameless, but I am friends with him on Facebook, and he started a discussion after the Super Bowl where it was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, it was a close game, and it was for about three quarters. I was enjoying the game, even though I hate one of those two teams. And I was thinking, you know, either team can win this game. So, knock on wood, it is a great game. It's like both games with the Giants and the Patriots, especially the first one. It was a nail biter all the way through, and the Giants pulled it out. Uh, that's a story for another day. But you know what? At the end of the day, the Chiefs prevailed. They won the game. And a couple people, they went on to this unnamed SOT person's page, and they started complaining that the game was fixed and that the Kansas City Chiefs had the refs in their pocket. You know what? So because of social media, are we now in a society where we're going to start making excuses for ourselves, that instead of taking responsibility for our own actions, are we going to sit there and we're going to blame the referees for every bad call that doesn't go against us? And you want to know something? They go against everybody. It happens in baseball, it happens in football, hockey, you name it. I was watching a Met game the other day where the Mets actually benefited from a couple calls where the pitch looked like it was a little bit outside the that imaginary box, imaginary batter's box. Mets had a couple calls go their way. Conversely, there are plenty of times where calls don't go their way. So, at the end of the day, it all evens out. And as for these referees or umpires, if they're really that bad, it is my belief that karma will catch up to them. Eventually, they're not going to, first of all, they're not going to get to the postseason games. And who knows, maybe they'll get suspended or sent to an early retirement. So I do not believe that umps are fixing the game, you know. And you're complaining about the Cardinals and the Bills. I mean, come on. The Cardinals sucked. They sucked last year. They're going to suck this year. Look what happened last year. I'm in Ireland, and the Giants got beaten by the Cowboys 41-0. So what did they do? They turn around the next week. They're in their road white uniforms out in Arizona, and they were trailing. I think it was I don't know, 27 or no, 17-0. They were trailing at close to halftime. The Giants, who had just been beaten by the Cowboys 41-0 the week before, they upset them in their own building. I think the final was, I don't know, 28-20 or something like that. But are you going to tell me that game was fixed? A Giant team that got embarrassed. They got their faces smushed into the turf the prior week to the Cowboys. You know what? The Bills are a better team than the Cardinals. I would expect the Bills to win. So maybe one or two calls didn't go their way, but let me ask you a question. Have you ever refereed a game? It's not that easy. I mean, there are calls missed all the time. You've got 7 men trying to watch 22 men. You know what? If they could call holding on every play of the game, and you know what? You would never get the freaking game done. There are pass interferences on almost every play. You gotta sometimes just call the blatant ones. Uh, you know, I used to coach flag football, and I was involved in one game. I was telling somebody the story where uh, our opponent, the kid could have been called on encroachment on every play. His foot was in the neutral zone on every play, and I'm screaming and yelling at the referee. And finally, the opposing coach heard me, and he's like telling his kid, "Oh, you better get your foot back, or it's going to get called on you." So you know what? These things happen. You cannot blame the referees for the fact that your team is bad. Uh, the Giants were a bad team in the 70s, but they turned it around. Uh, they turned it around, and the Jets didn't. The Jets last won a Super Bowl or have been to a Super Bowl in '69. The Giants have been to 5 Super Bowls since that time and have won 4 of them. The one they lost in 2000 to the Baltimore Ravens. Did I cry they that the refs that the Baltimore Ravens had the refs in their pockets? No. The Baltimore Ravens had a superior defense that year and clearly beat us. So suck it up. There's nothing you can do about it. So wake up and smell the roses, dude. Uh, I had to give you my answer here so we didn't go tit for tat and you don't interrupt me. And you know what? Wait, if you decide you want to respond to what I'm saying, go right ahead. Just keep it civil. That's all I ask. Don't make me remove you from this channel. You know what? Uh, People that come to my channel are normally, I would say, 99.5% of the time are a very wonderful, civilized bunch, and they stand behind me, and I love you and I appreciate you for it. But don't be that 0.5% that I gotta ban you because you have to act like an asshole. This is Jack Toledano speaking for all or none, according to Jack. Have a good one, folks. Go Jets, go Giants next week. Praying. Turn it around, guys. Have a good one.